People walk past my shop without looking up. That suits me fine. The sign says Callum Restoration. Paper, photographs, maps. In letters I painted myself the spring after my wife passed. The window fogs in winter, and the bell above the door needs a new spring. I've been meaning to fix it for 2 years. I keep finding other things that matter more. My daughter Nola is 8. She has her mother's instinct for other people's pain. Which means she cannot walk past someone crying without stopping. Which means she is frequently late. Which means I am frequently not worried. That Tuesday she came through the door with her backpack slipping off one shoulder and a small paper sleeve held in both hands, the way you'd carry something fragile and borrowed. Her name is Lily, she said before I could ask. She was crying behind the art room. She had this in her bag. She set the sleeve on my work table with both palms flat, the way I'd taught her. Her mom's going to be really sad when she sees it. Inside the sleeve were the pieces of a 4x6 photograph, water damage, clean tear through the center, and a slow yellowing that had been eating the shadows for years. 2 women stood in front of a white fence on a summer day. The older one laughing, the younger one leaning into her shoulder. The faces were still there. Barely. I told Nola to wash her hands and start her homework. Then I turned on the magnifier lamp and got to work. Don't fix photographs because someone tells me to. I fix them because a photograph is a promise. Someone held a camera up and said, "This moment matters. I want to keep it." And when water or time or a careless moment breaks that promise, I feel a pull in my hands like a compass needle finding north. I can't explain it better than that. I just can't leave them broken. I separated the pieces under the magnifier and cataloged what was left. The tear was clean, stress fracture, not rot, which was the first good news. The yellowing was silver mirroring, the kind that creeps in from the edges when a print has been stored in humidity for too long. The faces were threatened, but not gone. That mattered most. I worked until 2 in the morning. The fiber reconstruction came first, building the physical surface back before I touched the image, because the image is only as stable as what it's printed on. Then tone correction in careful layers, digital and analog both, checking the density values against the undamaged corners of the original. So I wasn't guessing at what the light had looked like that day. I printed to archival stock, triple layered, the kind that will outlast anyone alive to look at it. The laughing woman came back first, then the younger one leaning into her shoulder, then the white fence behind them, then the particular angle of summer light that told you it was late afternoon. By the time Nola woke up and padded into the workshop in her socks, the photograph was lying flat under the press, drying. She looked at it for a long moment. "That's somebody's mom," she said. "Looks like it. You going to charge them?" "No." She nodded, like that was the only reasonable answer, and went to make us both toast. I sent it back with Nola the next morning in a new archival sleeve with my card tucked inside. Not for business, just in case they had questions. I didn't think about it again. I had 3 maps waiting in a Civil War-era ledger with water stains along the spine. My hands were busy. The call came 4 days later. I almost didn't pick up, unknown number. And I was in the middle of coaxing iron gall ink off a brittle page. Something made me set the swab down. "Is this Ray Callum?" The voice was careful and precise. Person used to being the steadiest one in the room. I said it was. A pause. "My name is Claire Ashworth. I think you restored a photograph. One that came home with my daughter Lily from school. A photograph of my mother." I remembered the 2 women by the white fence. I said yes. Another pause, longer. "Mr. Callum, that photograph was the only one that existed. My mother passed 3 years ago. Burst pipe took most of what I had left of her. I paid a specialist twice and was told both times that it was beyond recovery. I'd stopped believing it could come back." She stopped. "You didn't know any of that?" "No," I said. "I just knew it was broken." She was quiet long enough that I checked the phone was still connected. "Then, I'd like to pay you for your work, whatever your rate is. And I'd like to. I want to say thank you in person, if that's all right with you. I don't know how else to say it properly." I told her she didn't owe me anything. She said she understood that, and she was coming anyway. I was showing Nola how to flatten a warped map cover when the door opened that Friday afternoon. Claire Ashworth was not what I expected, which I should have known better than to expect anything. She was in a gray coat over a work blouse, her hair pulled back, and she looked like a person who hadn't sat still in a long time. She stood in the doorway of my shop and looked around. At the hanging press frames, the paper drying on the racks, the magnifier lamp, the jars of toning solution on the shelf. And she didn't say anything for a moment. People usually ask immediately what everything does. She just looked. Then she looked at me. "You work alone," she said. "My daughter helps. When she's not at school." Nola looked up from the corner where she was pretending to read. Claire's face changed in a way that I recognized. The way a face does when it stops performing and just feels something. "She's the one who found Lily," she said. "She couldn't walk past," I said. She stood at the work table while I brought out the original sleeve alongside the restored print, both side by side. She looked at the damaged original, the tear, the yellowing, and then she looked at what had come back from it. Hand went to the edge of the restored photograph and stopped just short of touching it. "I called the specialist I'd used before," she said quietly. "The one in the city." I described it to him. He said water damage at that level with that yellowing profile, his word was irrecoverable. She looked up. "How did you do it?" I told her about the fiber analysis, the tone mapping, the way you read what's underneath before you decide what you're adding back. I told her it took most of a night. I could see she was listening the way people listen when they actually want to understand, not just be told. "You must have been exhausted," she said. I thought about the two women by the white fence. The laughter caught in the older one's face. "Permanent now." "I wasn't," I said. "She tried to give me a check. I handed it back. She tried again, said she ran a company and understood the value of skilled work, and she wasn't going. Tend this was nothing. I told her it wasn't nothing, and I still wasn't taking a check." She looked at me for a long moment, the check in her hand. "Then I'll bring you something else to restore," she said. "Whatever you'd want to work on. A fair trade." I almost smiled. That works. We sat in the two chairs I keep near the window while Nola quietly migrated from her corner to the work table and began organizing my swab jars, which she does when she wants to listen without it being obvious. Claire told me about her mother, a school teacher, early mornings, strong coffee, the kind of woman who remembered every student's name and called them by it for the rest of her life. She told me about the pipe burst, the boxes of photographs warped and stuck together. The weeks she'd spent going through them one by one. 2 had come back from specialists. She'd stopped hoping for the third. I told her about the light in the photograph, the angle of it, how it told you the day had been warm, and the afternoon long, the way good summer days go when no one wants them to end. She listened to that carefully. She said she hadn't known it was taken that late. Her mother had called her that evening just to talk. She hadn't thought about in years until now. I told her about my wife. Not all of it. You don't need all of it the first time, but enough. That she'd had her mother's eye for color and had helped me set up the shop. That Nola had her laugh. That some days the shop felt like the steadiest thing I had. "Nola seems very sure of herself," Claire said, with a look toward the work table. "She's surer of the right thing to do than I am usually." "The best people are." She smiled. It was the kind of smile that takes a little effort, the kind worn down by a few years of being responsible for everything. And when it came, it was worth the wait. When she stood to leave, Nola appeared at my elbow, with her coat already in her hands, which was her way of saying she approved. Claire took it and looked at her, really looked, the way adults forget to do, and said, "Thank you for finding Lily." Thought about it, seriously. She was crying, she said, like that explained everything, because to her it did. At the door, Claire paused. "I meant it about the trade," she said. "I'll find you something worthwhile." "I'll be here," I said. She nodded once and went. The bell above the door gave its off-key ring. Nola came to stand beside me, and we both looked at the closed door for a moment. "She's going to come back," Nola said. "She said she would." "No." She looked up at me with that steady, certain face she gets. "I mean, she's going to come back." She went back to organizing the swab jars. I stood at the window a little longer than I needed to, watching the gray coat disappear around the corner of the street. And somewhere in my chest the compass needle settled. My hands were still. They do that sometimes, when they know they've found the right thing.